Hi, thank you for watching Hope Beyond the Hurt. My name is Trisha Warren, and we are continuing on in our series called Whole Again, a 30-day journey to freedom. And I'm excited today to be talking to you about disappointment. And the title is actually Letting Go of What Could Have Been and How to Deal with Disappointment. And so I want to encourage you with something today. Disappointment hits us hardest when our hearts were all in. And so maybe it's a disappointment with a person in your life letting you down. Maybe it's a disappointment with a situation that you thought was going to go a certain way and it didn't. And maybe it's a broken dream, a missed opportunity. So that's why we're talking about disappointment today, because what I found in my life, it's like I'm being held back by this hidden force, and this hidden force is disappointment. So I want you to think in your mind right now, and you can probably think of a time where there was a disappointment. And if something comes quickly to your mind, chances are that's a thing that you haven't let go of. And it could be the thing that's holding you back from moving forward, because disappointment can be so subtle, especially in relationships. And if you don't really learn how to root that out, then you can stay stuck and it can keep you literally from growing. So we're going to look at that today. Disappointment is a feeling of unhappy, let down, dissatisfaction because something that you hoped for, expected, or wanted didn't happen or didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to. This can be big or small, but the small things like we can work through easily, but the big things, they may take some actual getting in there, doing some heart work to be able to move past those. So disappointment left unchecked can lead to many other different emotions. They can lead to resentment. It can lead to unforgiveness. And so that's why we want to learn how to deal with that. And I almost liken it to being held back, like something's pulling you backward, and you keep going back to that one moment in time where that event happened. And there's still a little bit of tenderness there. There's still a little bit of hurt. When I was thinking and preparing about this, I was thinking about a situation where I literally was taken back to that moment in time. This was probably 6 years ago. And that event, I still remembered the feeling of that disappointment and how if it could have gone a different direction, why didn't it go a different direction? How did I not see that coming? And those types of things. And so what can cause disappointment? We want to address those things. It could be a broken trust from a spouse, a friend, even a child, a parent situation. It could be hurts from things that were said to you, things that were done to you, unmet expectations. I'm telling you what, this is a big one in relationships. Unmet expectations can bring a lot of disappointment. Things that you were unaware of, failed goals. These are some areas in your life where I would just encourage you during your quiet time. And again, we've been encouraging you to talk to the Father about your heart. Really sit there and spend some time alone. And a lot of people, they really don't like to do this. They don't like to get alone with their thoughts. They find themselves constantly watching TV or having some form of media on all the time, going through social media. Listen, I encourage you, you really need to do some heart work. And that requires you to spend some time in the Word, because what the Word does is it opens you up to really see things in your life that you wouldn't have seen without His help. The Holy Spirit is so gracious, and that's why we have to partner with Him. And He does that through revealing to us things through His Word. So what happens when you don't deal with disappointment? There could be mental and physical stress. There could be self-sabotage. There could be difficult dreaming or setting new goals. There could be bitterness and resentment, again, from that situation where you thought that things were going to be different and they weren't. And so there's some bitterness and resentment in your heart. And how do you know that there's bitterness? Because when you're around that person, it's gritty. It's almost as if you still have these underlying emotions that are negative toward that person. That could actually mean that you have some bitterness and resentment toward that person. There could be anger. You're fearful, fear of man, You're fearful of what they think. You're fearful of what they're going to do next, all of those types of things. And that could all be stemming from disappointment. There could be fear of rejection. There could even be self-doubt on your part because you thought that things were different, and then you find out, and now you're left to question yourself. I know that that's happened for me. So you don't want to leave disappointment undealt with, because it will lead to all of these different emotions. And I'm telling you, if you don't deal with deal with your emotions, you can be as healthy as you want to be. You can be running a mile a day and eating healthily and doing all those things. But if your heart isn't healthy, you can be opened for disease. You can have opportunities to deal with sickness, ulcers, anxiety can cause all kinds of different heart issues and all of those things. So I'm telling you, disappointment it may seem like not a big deal. I even heard a motivational speaker talking about disappointment not being a big deal. Well, it can lead to other things that can be a big deal. So you don't ever want to leave anything in your heart unchecked. You always want to be in the framework and in the frame of mind like the Father. And the Father is full of love. That's who He is. Love is God. And so when you're not operating in a place of love, if you've got these feelings of negativity, and a lot of people think, well, that's just how it is. You know, I'm a human being. I have negative emotions. Well, you can learn how to flip the switch on that, and you can channel that negativity. You can say, you know what? I'm going to take those thoughts captive. I'm not going to be a negative person. I choose to look at the life and the love side of that situation and not look negatively on every single thing. Another thing that can happen with disappointment is people get isolated. You want to build up walls to protect yourself from those disappointments. And so you can see how if you don't actually deal with the disappointment, it can lead to other more serious issues in your life. Because again, I've found that one situation, and it doesn't have to bleed into other relationships, but if that one relationship, you were disappointed in that situation and it causes there to be a separation and a division with you and that person, especially if it's like a parent-child situation or your natural parents, your spouse, that disappointment can breach relationship and it can cause major problems. And I don't know about you, but I don't want major issues with my child. I don't want there to be major issues with my husband. I don't want there to be major issues with anybody that I'm closely in proximity to. I want to tell you a funny story. When I first got married to my husband, Chad, I have 2 bonus sons. And so we were learning how to acclimate with each other and learning how to do things. Well, in my house, the way that I'd always done things, you don't sleep with your comforter. And throw a comment down below and let me know, do you sleep with your comforter or do you fold your comforter back? I need to know this. Do people actually, was it just me? Am I just weird? Am I the only person that folds the comforter back and that doesn't sleep on your decorative pillows? Am I the only person? If I am, that's okay. But anyway, just throw a comment below and let me know, do you sleep with your comforter? So anyway, my sons, when we first got married, I bought brand new comforters for their rooms. We moved into our new house. It was such a time of celebration. Well, I told them here's your other blanket for your room. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, here's your blanket for your bed. We'll fold your comforter back. They didn't understand that was an actual thing. And so they're like, no, we sleep with our comforter. And I'm like, no, you don't sleep with your comforter. So anyway, the first couple months of when they came and stayed with us, we fold the comforter back. Well, during a time of prayer with one of my sons, I won't name who they are, but we were praying and I was like, the Father wants you to make sure that you forgive everybody and you release things, whatever's holding you back, let's go ahead and address that right now. And so we were having this intimate prayer time and I was like, okay, so do you have anybody that you need to forgive, anything that you need to let go of? And he was like, yeah, I do. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is it? What do you need to let go of? Who do you need to forgive? And he was like, I need to forgive you. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what did I do? What? I'm so sorry. Like, what did I do to disappoint you, to let you down? And he was like, you won't let me sleep with my comforter. And I said, are you kidding me? Like, this is why you've been resenting me and upset with me and like disappointed in your life, is because you can't sleep with your comforter. So you better bet we've been sleeping with our comforters ever since. Like the whole Warren family let me know that night that they all wanted to sleep with their comforter. So we've been sleeping with our comforters ever since. That may seem funny, but honestly, like that was keeping him distant from me because of just a small thing. But I'm telling you, those small things can cause big damage, and you don't want that to in your life. You don't want disappointments and things that have hurt you to hold you back and keep you from really receiving in relationships, from moving forward, from having these beautiful friendships and relationships, all because of disappointments. And they're things that could be communicated, honestly. And we're going to look at that in just a second. So you have to acknowledge the disappointment. We've just seen what causes disappointment, what happens when you don't deal with disappointment. Now, how do you let go of disappointment? Some of these things may have been way back, and you're like, Trisha, like, what if I don't remember all the details of it? Well, let's walk through it. So when you acknowledge the disappointment, you can sit down and you can say, like me with that thing that happened 6 years ago, I had to do this. I'm like, okay, why is this still a thing in my heart? Like, this shouldn't still be here. It didn't seem like a big deal then, but it still stuck out to me. So I sat down and I kind of thought through that situation. Why did that hurt? Because honestly, I didn't expect it to happen. I really thought that things were going in a certain direction, and literally it was completely the opposite of what I thought. So I had to, I was hurt. I had lack of, my expectations weren't met. I felt a little betrayed, and it wasn't like a huge deal, but there was betrayal that I had to deal with. So when you write down the event, you write down the emotions that surrounded it. Because honestly, if you stop and quiet yourself, you can go back to that moment and you can feel what you felt. So you need to release those things. Some people burn them. You can write down the situation, write down your emotions, and determine to let it go in that moment, and then flush it down the toilet. Some people write it on toilet paper. Like, don't write it on a piece of paper and then flush it down the toilet. My niece told me the other night that she flushed a troll down my brother's toilet. And I'm like, don't flush anything down the toilet. She said, well, it fell in there. I said, okay, well, you got to get it out. Like, you don't flush a troll, but you do flush toilet paper. So write down what hurt you on some toilet paper and get that thing flushed. But you have to really determine to work through those negative emotions. So that's what you do. You journal, you write those things down. You choose to either forgive yourself, forgive the person that let you down. I remember one time I worked for a company, and I actually received an email that I shouldn't have received. They meant to send that email to another person, and when I got that email, it was about me, and it was very discouraging and disappointing. And so with that situation, I had to release that. I had to let that go. Maybe you struggled with something like that. Maybe you overheard a conversation at work. You thought you were doing a great job. You thought you were, kind of laying your life down, doing everything that you need to do. And then you find out you suck, and you have to really get those things out, release it, let it go to the Father, ask the Father to help you move past that. Because listen, if I would have stayed stuck in that situation, if I would have stayed stuck in that email, just feeling like everything I just thought was going good, everything wasn't going good, if I would have stayed stuck in that mentality, it really could have made me insecure, could have made me isolate myself, could have made me get in my head. You have to let disappointment go. So what the enemy endeavors to do with disappointment is to dash your hopes. He wants to stifle your creativity. He wants to stop your momentum. He wants you to fold under the weight of what could have, should have, would have been if it would have gone the way that you thought it would. So you have to let these things go. When other people are involved, there are always changing variables. Their emotions are involved. their hopes and dreams are involved. So you have to clearly communicate your expectations, especially when it's with your spouse. You have to very much so make sure that you guys are on the same page. You can't expect your husband to know what in the world you're thinking. And the opposite is true. Husbands, you can't expect your wives to read your mind. I can't tell you how many times that I've had this conversation with my husband. I can't read your mind. I don't know what you're thinking. You have to talk. So if your expectations aren't communicated, then this can be the thing that makes you disappointed. You weren't clear in what you expected of your children. You've got to lay those things out. You weren't clear in what you wanted your husband to do. So you're disappointed when you get home and the house is a mess. You should have communicated, hey, when I get home from work today, because you're having a day off, please make sure that you start a load of laundry. Please make sure the dishes in the sink are done. Don't let me come home to a house that is dirty. If you don't communicate those things and then you come home and your expectations are dashed, you're disappointed, then listen, can we really blame that on somebody else when we weren't open in communication? So, but with other people, when they're disappointed in us, that can be a little bit more challenging because we're thinking, I didn't know that you wanted that of me. I didn't know that you expected that of me. That's why, especially in a job situation, if you find that your boss is continuously disappointed in your work ethic or what you're doing, then you may need to ask them for some clear-cut guidelines and expectations of what they would have you to do. Because if you don't know what you're supposed to do and you're doing what you think is most important and it's never what they think is most important, then maybe you need to get on the same page with them so that you're not constantly feeling like a failure every single day. Or even with your spouse, you feel like they're unhappy with you all the time. Find out what is really going on. Okay, what do I need to do differently to help you to be more happy in this relationship, to find more fulfillment in our marriage? What should I do differently? So many people they're scared of these conversations. But if you don't have these conversations, then it will keep you divided. It will keep you separated. It will keep you from being intimate and close. And that's exactly what you really want. Also, I've learned with people, you have to hold the relationship loosely. You can't expect of them things that you shouldn't expect. People cannot be your happiness. People can't keep you happy. They were not designed to be that, not even your spouse. Your whole heart and your life and your purpose and your plan and your joy has to be found in your relationship with the Father. People in your life are just bonus. Your husband is bonus, or your wife, your children are bonus. You know, so many single moms, and this is what I found even with my relationship with my son when I was a single mom, is they cling too tightly to that child, and they felt suffocated. They felt as if their relationship with their mom, if they weren't there, that their mom wasn't going to be okay. Listen, you can never make your child feel like without them, you're not going to make it. That is a very unhealthy and manipulative dynamic. Your child should be free to do what they want to do, have friends, go do their life, and you have your own friends, you have your own life. Please don't suffocate your children when you're a single mom and make them feel like without them, you're not going to make it. Because that can lead to a lot of unhealthy dynamics in that relationship, and they will leave you as soon as they can. You need to hold people loosely, but communicate your expectations of them. That is the way that you have healthy relationships. And listen, people can't make you happy. And if you try to make sure that they're always making you happy and doing everything just for you, then you will remain disappointed. Because the word says in Psalm 62:5, "My soul, wait upon God only, for my expectation is from Him." Your expectations need to be in the Father. He's the one that provides you the joy. He's the one that provides you the strength. He's the one that provides you everything that you need. And from that outflow of His love and relationship with Him, you have a healthy marriage. From that outflow of love and just what he brings to you, to your life through his word, then you're able to healthily have a great relationship with your children. Have a great relationship with your friends because you're finding what you need in him. And then all of these other relationships are just a bonus. So it says in Psalms 34:5, those who look to him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed. So that's how you just keep your perspective and your expectations right with people. If you have friends that make you feel bad about maybe drawing boundaries, and maybe even you have to tell them, no, I can't do that today, or whatever, or they're disappointed in you because you don't always tell them yes or do what they want you to do. Listen, that is a red flag. Your friendships you need to set boundaries in those friendships and let them know, like, I have a family, I have priorities, I have things that I'm responsible for. I love you, but you can't allow people to make you feel guilty or make you feel bad or because of their disappointment. That's really on them. So people aren't there to meet our needs. We're not there to meet people's needs. So you have to learn how to deal with these disappointments, because it's really important for you to be able to move forward in your relationship with the Father, move forward in your relationships in life, and really let go of the disappointments in the past, because they will hold you back. So I hope this material has helped you today. I have enjoyed really just getting into these things because honestly, these are the things that I've had to deal with in my own personal life. And I know that they're real deals. They can literally be the things, and they seem like small things, but the word says that it's the small foxes that destroy the vine. So let these things help you today. Use them as encouragement to really push yourself to get over the past. It's time to move forward into all that God has for you, and you can't do it when you're holding on to those things. So if you've enjoyed this content, please subscribe, please like and share it. Please comment below, especially about the comforter, if you sleep with your comforter or not. But I love you guys, and I'm so excited about everything that God has for you. And please, again, be ready and watching for my book that's coming out in just a few months. I'll let you know as soon as it's time to pre-order that book. But it is called The First 24 Hours, What to Do When You Find Out That Your Spouse Has Had an Affair. That's going to help so many people. I'm so excited about what God has in store for Hope Beyond the Hurt. So please stay tuned, be watching for the next episode, and I'll see you guys soon.